All right, welcome back to another episode of Poncha Talk. My name is Ellie and I'm host of Poncha Talk. And in this podcast, we talk about all things related to remote work and living abroad and any personal growth and development journeys. And for today, we're gonna go on another Poncha walk without Poncha, but lots of walking. And today's guest in the episode is Brandon. Say hello.
Hello.
Brandon is a former human factors engineer, part-time stripper, wannabe philosopher, and a very good friend of mine here on the gym. Brandon, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Introduce yourself.
Yes.
Better than I did.
So Ellie gave a fantastic introduction. So I'm a former human factors engineer. I actually was recently laid off from my last position as such, and that's why I'm pursuing new career opportunities at the moment. The part-time stripper, half joke, half serious. Maybe we can talk about that a little bit later. And then the wannabe philosopher part, that's the new direction I'm going with my life. Something that I was working on the side for the past couple of years. I developed my own journal method based on some existential principles, and I like to publicly speak. So I write little speeches and go to open mic nights and such and test out some of my, I guess you could call it amateur philosophy ideas. So that's what I'm up to nowadays. Yeah.
Lovely. I love how you turned the layoff part, which is of course not fun, into something exciting by switching your career and doing something that you're actually passionate about. I think that's very exciting.
Thank you.
Does it feel exciting or scary for you?
Oh, it's terrifying. I knew it was something I wanted to do. So I had stuff in the works. I was moving forward in that direction, albeit slowly, because I was working 9 hours a day as an engineer. It just got expedited a little bit with that surprise layoff. So.
Nice. I think it'll work out. I mean, now that you can, because I mean, that's what I've realized for myself. I mean, I didn't get laid off, but I had to eventually quit my job to actually be able to focus on the things that I want to do. Because when you do it trying to do it on the side to a full-time job, it never really, you never have the capacity to actually do it, I think.
Yeah, especially like as an engineer, that was a huge brain power job. So at the end of 8-9 hours, the desire to want to spend another hour reading and theorizing on some deep philosophical topic, there just wasn't any gas left in the tank at the end of the day for stuff like that. So yeah, it's definitely expedited it. I definitely have more time and more brain power to, as I say, read the hard books or essays and spend time writing essays myself. So that helped move that ball along a little bit.
Yeah, I was going to ask, what are the main things that you do nowadays while you're building your own thing?
Yeah, so there's 3 different fronts to this. One is just the purely logistical business front. I filed for what's called the e-residency permit in Estonia, which allows you to set up a business and bank account there without ever living in the country or having any visa ties to Estonia. So I filed for this permit. I recently got an email saying I was approved, but they're gonna mail some hardware, which involves an ID card and a card reader, to Lisbon at some point.
To Lisbon, and then you have to pick it up?
Yeah, I think it's to the Estonian embassy in Lisbon, maybe.
Congratulations, Brian.
Thank you. Yeah, so my business isn't official yet because it doesn't even exist in legal terms. So there's that front. So I'm spending time like filling out that application and building a website and trying to set up structure of what I'm actually going to do with the public speaking coaching as well. Yeah. Otherwise, I spend a lot of time practicing. So that's where the reading and the theorizing and the essaying comes in. Just like last night, I spent a couple hours working on some ideas. So that way, when the opportunities present themselves, I'm already practicing and rehearsing. I know what to talk about. And then the third thing is the journal method that Ellie actually was a part of once.
Yes, we did a workshop.
Yeah. So I've been spreading the word about that and actually spent a lot of time polishing that presentation. So I've had a slide deck of it in various formats. This journal method started 4 years ago. And now it's like finally in a final presentation, polished, iterated it dozens of times and made it the best that I can at the moment. So I'm looking for more opportunities to facilitate that session while I also work on adapting it into an e-product so people can purchase it and do it on their own.
Did you study anything business related, or did you study philosophy purely?
No, my degrees are actually in psychology. So human factors is where psychology and engineering meet.
Okay, yeah.
So as my elevator pitch with it is, all the other engineers build it. And then the human factors engineer asks, can a human use it or use it well or effectively or efficiently? So because people mess up or processes don't make sense, or it takes a lot of training to get people ramped up, or it's a complicated process, but did you make it as simple as it can be? Those are a lot of the questions human factors engineers work with. But that comes from a psychology background, and psychology is intimately related to philosophy. We study some philosophy as psych majors and master's students. So that's where I think my interest lies, is I don't love being an engineer. I like the philosophy part the most. But I apply a lot of those principles of the human factors engineering to philosophy. So it can be very intimidating to read some of the great philosophical works or essays. It took me 16 months to read Brothers Karamazov, the hardest book I've ever read in my life.
Never heard of it.
All right, Brothers Karamazov is one of Russia's greatest novels by Russia's greatest author, Dostoevsky. And it's this really intense theological debate about religion and freedom, and the whole idea being that the religious leaders in this short story don't actually believe in God. They just put on this show to help guide the masses toward being a more moral society. They absolve the citizens of the burden of freedom. So very, very crazy stuff. Why was I talking about that? Oh yeah, so it takes a long time to read those books or read those essays, and it's really hard. And I don't even understand it a lot of the times. I have to Google and read other people's commentaries on it. So in doing that, I apply my human factors idea that how can I make this philosophy that's immensely practical, it's super helpful, but it's just very dense, very complicated, hard to understand. Dostoevsky prose, very challenging. Ralph Waldo Emerson poetic prose, very challenging. So that's where my journal method comes in, and just kind of like my public speaking style is I just take a little bite-sized chunk. I'm not dumbing it down, I'm simplifying it. I'm just saying, let's just focus on this one sentence and let's marinate on this. Let's think about this for a little bit. So we can make philosophy more user-friendly.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
I get the full circle.
Yes, that took a minute to get around to that point. Sorry.
Okay, no, okay, and then that's where your little video clips on social media come in, where you package everything for normal people in a bite-sized reel.
Yeah. Yeah, I equate it to like when kids are learning to read.
Yeah.
Granted, I don't know how kids learn to read in other languages, but in English, it's like, it can take them a minute to get through one sentence. They're sounding out the words. They have to remember what all the rules are, like, how does this letter sound when it's around these other letters? And it takes a long time just to get through one sentence. So if you think about that, like us as adults listening to a child read and how we have to might help them, it's that same kind of gap to when you're reading the hard literature or the hard topics, that it takes time and you got to sound out the vowels and really understand what's happening.
Yeah, it's pretty deep work that you're doing every day.
Thank you.
We have a waterfall here coming up, by the way. See? Well, since we are in Madeira, during this whole process in the last couple of weeks, because I mean, I don't think we mentioned you're not from Madeira, you're from the US.
Oh, yes.
And during this whole transition, was it ever a question for you whether you stay on Madeira or not?
Oh, that's a good question because I'm not EU. Obviously, I'm from Florida. So I don't have the benefits of an EU passport where you can just kind of hop between the EU countries. So as an American on a tourist visa, I get 90 days in all of Schengen. All right. So if I burn all 90 days in Portugal, that doesn't mean I can just hop over to Spain, right? So I was very interested in just getting a visa so I'm not hopping in and out of Schengen on 3-month terms. So I got the digital nomad visa for Portugal, which requires a year-long lease for the application, which is a bit burdensome, as you can imagine. So yeah, you got to kind of commit to a year somewhere to get this digital nomad visa. It's a bit silly, I think. So I came to Madeira in February of last year for a month-long try, just to see if I liked it. I'd never been to Madeira before. And then I fell in love with the Madeira Friends community, fell in love with the island. And then I hear, oh, Maryland helps people get apartments. And I'm like, I don't know how else I'll find an apartment while I'm in the States. So I'm like, all right, I can hang out on Madeira for a year, but it's been the best year, no doubt.
Aww, so sweet.
Yeah.
So you're gonna stay. Now you find another year long.
Yes, and another.
Ooh, the waterfall.
Yeah, it is.
Speaking of the Madeira Island, talking about the waterfall, there it is.
It's insane that we get to call this place home.
Well, anyways, Madeira community and such. One of the main things you focus or you speak about, you said, is friendships. Was it hard to make friends here on Madeira?
No.
What's your take on the type of friendships that are on Madeira?
Yeah, there's definitely, just in general, there's different types of friendships one can have. And then in the expat nomad culture, I've noticed friendships can have a little bit of a different flair to them. So I do know that when I first moved here, I'd heard through either reading like blogs or YouTube videos or whatnot about digital nomads burning out because they don't have a place to call home. There's no consistency and friends come and go too often. And I know my personality, I was thinking I would probably even burn out more quickly than most on that front. So when I came to Madeira, I was immediately trying to spend more time with people I knew were staying here, not people coming for a month or so. Granted, I've struck up friendships with those people too, and I love them, but they just leave. And you can't go hiking with them on Sundays. As an expat, nomad type, and then with the Madeira Friends community, there is some amount of strategizing that how do I allot my time and find people that I can have meaningful connections with for more than a month at a time.
Well, because I did an episode on friendships actually a little while back with Nikki. You know Nikki?
Yeah.
Yeah, because she's also like a relationship coach and does things like that. And yeah, we came to the same conclusion. It just gets tiring of having the same small talk over and over again with people. And you do need close friends to talk about things because life still continues, you know. Are you close to friends here in Madeira or are you still like at home?
So one thing I think about friendships is a friendship is a living thing. And what happens is if you are not seeing a person regularly and making new memories with them regularly, then that friendship is likely to go stagnant to some extent. Because every time you see them or talk to them, it's catch up. You're not making new memories with them. You are sharing memories that you've had apart from them. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. I still have several friends back in the States. I text them, we send memes and all that. But the sad reality is since I left DC or since I left Florida, I'm not spending time with Topher or Tom or Matt or the other Matt, right? Or Jacob. So every time I talk to them, it's just like, oh, this is what I did. Not, oh, we went out and did this thing and now we bonded over this moment. Now, those friends know a lot about me that the Madeira people don't know, or they've seen different parts of my life. But on Madeira, I need friends that I can make memories with and spend my day-to-days with. So that's where you, Ellie, and Ella, Rosh, Patrick, all that crew comes into play.
Okay, no, that's an interesting take on it. Because, I mean, I still have friends from, like, uni and even, like, school and kindergarten at home. But it is kind of like, maybe more, especially for, like, I'd say my college friends. Because we only got to spend, like, a couple of years together and then moved away again. And every time I see them, it's great, and we keep laughing about the same jokes from like back in the day. But yeah, maybe I knew we don't really make many new memories anymore.
Yeah, and then another component to friendship is what is the bonding element that you're friends with this person. So my best friend from childhood, Ben, I've known him since 7th grade. So there's this very strong bonding element of just having grown up together. We went to the same schools and spent all of our free time together. And that is a very deep bond because we met when we were, 11, something like that. Now we're both 31. Then here on the island, a new bonding element is with a lot of us, we're the ones that left home. I talk about this a lot. We're the ones that we looked around our hometown and said, this isn't for me. Maybe we did the college thing. Maybe we went back home for a little bit or traveled a little bit and then said, I don't want to settle yet. So despite the fact, right, that we're from all different parts of the country, especially our little friend group, Ellie, like we got a Colombian, a Mexican, a German, a Swiss, an Azerbaijani, Irani guy, like American, German, Florida. So I look at that, I'm like, what's the bonding element? Because there's not a lot of commonality between us in a lot of respects, but we're the ones that chose to leave. So where Ben and I have this friendship of brotherhood, essentially, like growing up together, you and I, we have this friendship of shared life choices.
Sure, it's like the same mindset in a lot of ways. And I think that's what makes it so easy to be friends with people in the community, or like the digital nomad world. Because we all have the same, I guess, major life decisions.
Yeah, that's actually a very existential principle that I've been having to reconcile with. Because when you, in a more conventional sense, people bond over having come from the same region or place. Like, oh, you're a Florida man, I'm a Florida man, right? Or, yo, homeboy, which none of that is anything I chose. I did not choose to be a part of my family, right? I did not choose to be from Florida. What I did choose was to be an expat in Madeira. So there's this very interesting bonding element there because we're here by choice. We're not here by any de facto reasoning. We're here because we actively made a choice. And for whatever reason, that really resonates with me of like this strong bonding element.
Yeah, I never thought about it that way. This might be the deepest Poncha Talk we have.
Did you expect anything less with me?
I'm gonna be so wise after like a week of living with you. If I think about it, my best friend is from kindergarten actually. But we live like such different lives now. I think if we met like at this time of our lives, I don't know if we would be friends. I don't even know if and how we would meet. But if we did, I don't know if we would be friends. because we have lots of many things in common, actually.
Yeah. When I mentioned Ben, that's something similar. He and I grew up very similarly. We were in the same classes. We were both band geeks. Senior year, we were both band captains. Like, that's how close and similar we were. I was band captain, he was a drum captain, but there were still like high ranking band officers. That's super geeky, I know. But now I'm the single expat guy that's doing this, and he's been married for 8 years, I think, and has 3 kids and moved to Kentucky.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So he followed a much more, I guess, a stereotypical American lifestyle.
Yeah. My best friend is married too.
Yeah.
About to buy a house. All those things.
Yeah, yeah. But Ben is also one of the few people I can be my most authentic self with.
Yeah.
I can talk about whatever I want to talk about with him, or this or that, and he just tolerates it because he's like, we're best friends, and we're gonna do something together. He's also way smarter than me, which helps.
Even smarter than you?
Oh, hell yeah. It's not that hard. And then his wife is smarter than both of us. Jesus. So, but considering he's smarter than me, studies linguistics, and is a polyglot, I text him a lot of my scripts, or maybe even just like the other night, it was just a sentence, and he helped me polish the sentence to make sure it was as good as it could be or made the most amount of sense. So,
That's a good friend.
yeah, so even though I'm not in company with him, he's still my go-to guy. And we do make memories together in a very different sense, supplied by the digital medium of FaceTime and texting, where we can just debate ideas over the course of several days, just texting each other, or help me figure out how to word a sentence the best way possible.
What's the philosophy you take on social media and stuff to keep in touch with people?
Oh, that's a big question. Yeah, so the problem with social media is it has it functions on the attention economy. So everything on it is just to try to grab your attention because the cost of switching is so low. And what I mean by the cost of switching is low is all you got to do to switch from one content stream to the other is a swipe of the finger. Compare that to like a movie or a TV show even. There's even a higher cost there because you have to like have a remote and you have to click it. Okay? So it's even like slightly more friction there. Or if like you're watching a movie, like dating myself here, if you want to swap out a VHS or a DVD, like there's a high cost to that. So social media has really just drained our attention down, and that causes the content to be cheap. Just like what's the flashiest, what's the most hook grabby thing just to get your attention, which isn't a function of, is this true? Is this worth my time? Is this even good on a technical standard? Oh. I see it up here.
Is that spider? Yes, social media content is cheap.
Yeah.
And flashy.
Yeah. It functions on the trends of whatever the trending audio is, or the trending dance, or I don't know all the categories of trending that there might be. So on that front, it's been devastating. And it's getting worse because they've learned how to hijack the attention span more effectively. And it's getting introduced to humans when the humans are younger, so it's screwing up their development. So the whole idea of scrolling through content, like when would you say that started? Like 2018 maybe? Like TikTok really got going in the pandemic, I think, but there was that type of behavior. So we were already all adults by then. But now children, as young as toddlers, are given screens and are scrolling through them. So that's not good.
This is the path.
We're going up there.
And now I gotta go up, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
Vamos.
Pitter patter. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't know if the breathing is gonna get too heavy to continue talking.
I can hold it if you want.
So yeah, social media.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about that also the other day. Just to do any sort of business, you have to do the social media. And I do a lot of social media with the blog right now. And we're trying to do the philosophy
Yeah.
of social media, which is very interesting to try and package such like deep ideas
Yeah.
in like 30 seconds.
Yes. TikTok is like the bane of my existence. It's the thing I know I need to use a little bit more and I just neglect it. But yeah, like I think I posted the stripper poem onto TikTok and it did not do well because it's like a 6-minute story. And the opening 30 seconds are me talking about my Bible and some deep transcendental quote from Ralph Waldo Emerson. Not exactly the most attention-grabbing stuff for social media.
Okay, you've brought up stripping multiple times now, Brandon.
Oh.
I think we need to tell the story to not leave them hanging.
Okay. So this is pretty much a rehash of the open mic I did a few weeks ago that you recorded for me, Ellie. Oh wait, these stairs are treacherous too.
Up there.
Yeah, talking and recording on these steps may not be the best idea.
Okay, cliffhanger. We'll be back in a second after we check. See you there.
It looks like it's done. Yeah, that was a long stair climb.
Let's go on an easy Nevada walk and podcast. Nope.
No, of course not.
Yes. Welcome to Hikes with Ellie. Anyways, Brandon, let's solve the mystery of how you became a podcaster.
Oh yes, great story. Weirdest night of my life too. So this was back in January on a Wednesday night, and I was employed at the time working American hours. So I'm at my computer working. It's 7 or 8 at night, I think. And I see my phone lighting up a bunch, and I finish whatever call I'm on, and I check, see what's happening, and I'm getting really confused because it's like a lot of WhatsApp notifications that aren't just texts. And it's like, Eric tagged you in a comment or something. So I open it up, and it's in the Madeira Friends Marketplace chat, of all places. And this lady had posted in there asking for a male stripper, saying that she had hired one and he canceled. As a joke, Eric, for some reason, chose me and was like, let's go, Brandon. So then this lady, since Eric tagged me in a reply to it, the lady saw the number and started texting me. She's like, oh, hey. And she's like sending me all the details, thinking I'm a professional male dancer. Something I'm not aware of is Eric is also texting her saying, oh, sorry, this was just a joke with my buddy. So then she texts me that saying like, oh, it looks like your friend was just joking you. I was like, well, hey, I can still do it. She was like, up front, she was offering like €150 cash. And I was not about to let this opportunity just slip by, right? So I'm texting her and I'm teasing. And the funny thing is, when I was here in Madeira last February, I went to the pole dancing studio with my Estonian roommate at the time, Valeria, and she gave me a pole dancing lesson.
Oh, so you are a professional.
So I had video of that, and I sent it to this lady saying like, here's my audition tape. And she's like, there was a couple text messages back and forth. She's like, I don't think there's enough time for you to practice to get good enough by Friday night or something like that. I'm like, well, if anything happens, text me. I let it go. I'm like, all right, missed opportunity, whatever.
Okay.
Same thing, except it's Friday night. It's about 7, and I see my phone lighting up again while I'm at work, while I'm working, and it's the lady, and she texts me back saying, "Hey, are you or any of your friends still interested? All 3 strippers canceled on me." And I was like, "Oh hell yes!" Except I'm nervous, so nervous. Once again, I'm screenshotting all the chats and putting it in my friend group chat with Eric, the guy that tagged me in it. And there's like all the jokes, all the "Brandon, you need to do this, you'll be a legend" kind of talk. I'm like, okay, time for me to pick an outfit. Well, anyone that knows me, also I'm wearing half my wardrobe right now, fruit shirts and Julia Roberts, right? We can talk about that in a minute. So I have hardly any clothes here. But thank God at Christmas time, I got a leather jacket for Christmas. So I'm texting in the group chat and we decide shirtless, leather jacket, black pants, my black jeans. And I also had some nice sunglasses on. So that was the outfit that they helped me pick to steer clear of fruit shirts and Julia Roberts or my kimono. Kimono. Oh, you weren't here when I wore that to Purple Friday. So this is all transpiring over text over some time while I'm still supposed to be working. Okay. So then also at the time, my routine was Friday nights I'd get dinner with a friend before going to dance social. So I'm texting my friend Petra. I'm like, "Hey, I might have to leave dinner early for this stripper gig." And she's all over it. So we show up to the pizza place. And I'm nervous, and we're watching Magic Mike videos on our phones at the dinner table. Nice. To help me prepare. Petra ends up buying me like 3 tequila shots to help calm the nerves. And then we're gonna go like look for a punch. I still have some time to kill. We come across Nati, the dance instructor, along with another lady in the street, and they're wondering why I'm dressed the way I am, and like I'm obviously fidgety and nervous. And we tell them, and then Natalia decides to give me a quick 15-second lesson of pole dancing on a street lamp. Oh my God. Like this is all happening within the span of like 3 hours. The lady gives me the directions. I hop in a cab to some big house that has like a gate and a big driveway in Camarada Lobos. I show up in the street. And I have to take my shirt off. So I'm in the street, I'm stripping naked, taking my shirt off to put the leather jacket back on. And then Eric also told me, he's like, "Put on 2 pairs of boxers." So that way if your pants come off, you can put the towel around and take 1 pair of boxers off and still not be naked. So I'm in the streets of Camarada Lobos somewhere, taking off my pants just to put on an extra pair of boxers that I had in my pocket at the dinner table with earlier that night. I go in, I start dancing. I'm so nervous. I don't know what I'm doing, but the ladies are loving it. It was like one lady's 40th birthday party. They're all dressed in lingerie. And like I have them unzip my jacket. I kind of like do a move where I don't know how to explain it, but then like my jacket just comes off. I take my sunglasses off all sexy and put them on one of the girls. And I just did 2 lap dances. Meanwhile, they're not really like all that aggressive or touchy. Like most of them did not want to dance with me or didn't want to be near me, I guess because they were all partnered up. But there was just the 2 girls. I gave them lap dances. They got a little touchy. That was it. And then there's like tons of hands touching me, and they're just stuffing money in all my pockets. And then I do the 2 lap dances. I'm like, "All right, anybody else?" They're like, "No, you're great. You're done." I was like, "Okay." I go back outside where I'd left my clothes, and the dogs had gotten into my stuff and ran off and like strung my clothes out, so a sock went missing. I leave. I go back out into the streets. I'm getting redressed. I call my friends on the phone, and like I'm holding up the cash. I actually walked out with 170 euros. Nice. I'm tipsy. I'm also have like this huge adrenaline high. While my friends are like in disbelief that I actually went through with it. Big FaceTime group call. Then I go to dance social after that. Missing a sock, riding an adrenaline high, still kind of drunk. And then I'm like, obviously when you're dancing, you're spinning, and my head was spinning. And then that turned into like quite a moment in my personal development journey.
Yeah. Nice.
But all right, so that's like the silliness of all of that, right? Very sexy, obviously, very just ludicrous,
Obviously very sexy.
very bananas, yeah. But the one thing I like to impress upon people, which I did at the open mic night when I shared that story, is I actually did that based on some of my philosophy. I realized at some point in my life that I was just playing a role in somebody else's script. And that's very tied to culture, especially the way I grew up in a very traditional Americana family, Southern Baptist, Protestant, Christian. There's a lot of cultural norms in that, and you're not really supposed to deviate from them necessarily. And from my point of view, I had done everything right, playing my part, and life just wasn't adding up for me. So that's when I got into philosophy, was how do I not be the actor in somebody else's script? How do I become the script writer? How do I write my own part? And there's two quotes that I go to all the time that really serve as kind of like the pillars of all of this. And one is from the Persian poet Rumi. So Rumi has this, has this devastatingly beautiful quote where he says, "Don't be satisfied with stories of how things went for others. Unfold your own myth." And I like that because it really felt like I was just proxy living, letting other people's adventurous stories satiate my own desire for adventure. And then I don't know how the translation works, but it's not unfold your own story, it's unfold your own myth. So there's something unreal about it, something exaggerated, or like maybe like some moral lesson in the story that you unfold. It's not just like unfold your own life story, unfold your own myth. There's that real metaphysical component to it. The second one is the Ralph Waldo Emerson quote, which is all of life is an experiment. The more experiments you make, the better. So just the idea of trying things to see what you learn. So those two quotes, they go really hand in hand, in my opinion, of unfold your own myth. Don't be satisfied with stories of others. But how do you do that? Like, what's a technical way to approach that? And then Emerson can come in with, well, experiment. Try new things that you don't necessarily know how they're going to turn out. Have a hypothesis. So for the past couple of years, that's real. Like, I've really clung to that, so I've become my own author of my own life. That's what fueled me or led me to becoming an expat in the first place. Was like, this was a big jump for me, coming all the way from Washington, D.C. And then another step in that direction was the stripper thing. Right? It was like, okay, I've never done anything like this before. I don't know anything about it. Let's just see. And also, to me, it was very jarring because I'm more of a bookworm academic type, coming from an engineering background. So the idea of working that doesn't involve a computer and doesn't involve peer-reviewed journals sounds very foreign to me. So I'm like, okay, so are there other ways of making money, or other ways I can make money, or other ways I can find joy and fulfillment in life? So, and that's the stripper thing, was like, all right, let's experiment. Let's unfold my own myth. Let's see what there is to learn here. So I love that idea that, going back to the making philosophy user-friendly, that philosophy on the outside can have this really intimidating or sanitized front. You can think of like the ancient Greeks sitting in their togas. Like, there's that statue, the thinker, where he's just resting his chin on his hand. And it can come across like boring and too intellectual and blah, 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 blah. But in my experience, when I read some of the philosophy, yeah, there is that kind of front to it. But then when I apply it to my life, oh man, wild things happen. I end up half naked in a stranger's house, right? And I got paid for it. And the pants stayed on.
contrasts that you grew up in?
When I would say like the nomads, or the expats, we bond over the shared choice of leaving home. There's something in our firmware as a person that makes us want to do these things. And to me, it goes back to the experimenting. We're not afraid to experiment.
Yeah.
So even while I have moved to Madeira and become an expat, it's still an ongoing experiment to me.
Of course.
And then I meet other people that are experimenting with the nomad lifestyle, and they're experimenting with new business ideas, experimenting with whatever things they might be involved in. And I think that's a very strong bond, because it takes courage to do these things. Like, it's the fear of the unknown. You don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah. But it's exciting.
Yeah, the best way to live.
Nice. We're back at the waterfall. To wrap things up, what's your favorite thing about Julia Roberts?
That smile, man. Ugh.
Do you have your sunglasses on when you're watching?
Yes. I must wear sunglasses to protect my eyes from that smile of hers. No, the shirts, like the Julia Roberts shirts and the fruit shirts, are very, like, they're silly, no doubt, and they're intended to be silly. But one thing I think that's misunderstood about silliness is it can actually be incredibly meaningful. It comes across nonsensical on the front, but for me, it means a lot, because there's this Danish philosopher named Soren Kierkegaard. He's often considered the father of existentialism. He, Dostoevsky, and Nietzsche, but I forgot why precisely. Maybe he just came first. Kierkegaard. And he was really macabre, really sick and twisted with a lot of the things he would say. Like, he would say, kill yourself or don't, you'll regret it either way. You know, that's just kind of like the sensibility he had. But one of my favorites he had is the only intelligent and tactical response to the horrors of this life is to laugh at them. Because he's admitting, like, the world is such a horrible place. There is so much bad and so much evil. And his solution, the best and most tactical response, is to laugh at it. So that's me with my shirts, to some limited degree, is just laughing, making sure that we don't forget our silliness. I'm seriously silly. It takes a lot of work sometimes to think of how to be silly. So yes, Julia Roberts. Nice. And fruit shirts. That's how I do it.
That's nice. What's your favorite fruit?
Wow.
I'm trying to find a question to ask you where you cannot make a philosophical, intelligent answer to.
Damn, cutting my feet out from underneath me. I guess you could say I find bananas really appealing.
Nice one.
And we're on Madeira, I feel obliged to say banana.
Yeah. Lovely. Okay, we're almost back at the car. I think we have enough deep thoughts for people to think about the next week. So thank you, Brandon, for joining the adventure.
Of course. Thank you for inviting me on.
Yes, I will link your social media
in
the episode so people can follow for more wise words of Brandon.
Thank you.
And good luck with your journey. It's going to be great. And look forward to Naked Thursdays. Okay, bye. Don't forget to follow Poncha Talk.